The rise and fall of prime hydration is genuinely wild. Hello, you gorgeous donuts. In early 2022, one of the wildest things in internet culture happened when two of the biggest YouTubers on the planet created a drinks company that would take over the world. They had kids lining up outside of supermarkets before they'd even opened. Some people were selling these drinks for $50, $100. Some were even reselling them for over $1,000. Like, what was happening? On top of this, schools were banning this drink from their premises, and governments were questioning the product overall. And at the center of all of this was Logan Paul and KSI. Their brand Prime wasn't just a drink, it was a cultural phenomenon. I don't even feel like that's an understatement at this point. But just as fast as Prime was exploding onto supermarket shelves and taking over the world, that came with an equal amount of criticism that we're going to talk about later in this video. And everything that has came after the drop of Prime has got people questioning, can this product actually survive in 2026? Now in this video we're going to discuss that and more. We're going to go through the entire journey of Prime hydration that started with internet beef and grew into $1 billion business. And also later in this video we're going to discuss the harsh reality that Prime faces today. I'm so excited for this one, let's get into it. Now before Prime was even a thought, Logan Paul and KSI were actually sworn enemies. They hated each other, at least online, like to the public's eye. They would often beef on Twitter or in YouTube videos. They'd often like send for each other, and this led to them inevitably settling their beef in a boxing ring, as this was like massive within the influencer space, especially within like 2022 to 2023. For some reason influencers thought that, you know, this is just how you settle beef. Let's just punch each other because that solves everything. Now in the run-up to KSI and Logan Paul announcing that they would have a boxing match, they released like a series of diss tracks on each other, and I have to admit I actually found this era of influencers very entertaining, especially when KSI and Logan Paul were going at it. I always remember KSI making this like really high budget video where he hired an actor who looked like Logan Paul and he basically just tormented him the entire video.
You can find my dad instead. Hey Logan, you're so funny. Thanks for taking us on this vacation. Oh. Brown nose, brown nose, brown nose.
Like, this is really good. I feel like, you know, the internet doesn't hit as much as what it did back then. This was 7 years ago, by the way. But yeah, in the music video, it goes on to see, like, Logan Paul kind of, you know, going around this castle with photos of his family. And KSI also got, like, an actor who looked like Logan's dad, who was being a bit creepy with, like, you know, girls around that time, and they mimicked that in the video. It was very, very hard on Logan. Clearly, these two didn't like each other at this point. And this forced Logan Paul to make his own diss track on KSI whilst he was in London. He didn't know KSI was going to release this, so he had to kind of make something really quickly, and it was arguably quite good.
KSI just dropped a diss track on you, okay? With the music video and everything, it's on YouTube right now.
What? Bro, we have the biggest fight in the world this week. He's out making diss tracks?
The song is trash, but the music video is absolutely amazing. Like, you need to do something about it.
Sounds serious. Well, listen, man.
It's so cringe. You know what? I kind of love it. What? We've got the biggest fight of the year, and he's out here making diss tracks? Oh, God, I love this.
I got one question for you.
Where have your tits gone?
Bitches ain't free for you can run. Oh no. But I think I'm about done
Being nice to you.
Again, so strange. You know, you're never just gonna put this on in the car now. I don't think anybody does that. That would be kind of wild. Like, imagine pulling up to the traffic lights and the person next to you's got their window down playing Goodbye KSI. I do feel like you would look at them in a bit of a weird way. Or maybe you'd look at them and go, oh my God, look at the aura on them. Wish I was in that car. Now, eventually, after these diss tracks, they did actually fight at the Manchester Arena. I was actually there with my little brother, and it was really great. It was like definitely like a staple piece within internet culture that these two creators has managed to like bring this many people together in one room. I believe it also did over 1 million pay-per-view buys as well, which obviously is just like mental. Now this fight actually ended in a draw. I don't know if that was on purpose, which meant they had to have another fight at the Staples Center over in America, and KSI ended up winning that one. But overall, these two events, in my opinion, were very good. You know, the drama, it was entertaining at the least. And although KSI won that last fight, I definitely think this entire beef benefited Logan, as this was kind kind of fresh off the back of him doing that video in Japan, which obviously is very infamous. And KSI fighting Logan, in my opinion, kind of enabled Logan to come back in the spotlight and kind of change his overall image, kind of get people back on his side. He was obviously hoping he could show people that, you know, the person that filmed that dead body is not actually him, you know, he's a new person, whatever, kind of rebranded, hoping that he could win the respect of the people back. Now, surprisingly, KSI actually was the one who got more respect for Logan after these two fights, and it seemed like after the second fight, their beef had definitely been squashed. I don't know if this is because, you know, they've just tried to like beat the shit out of each other, and now they kind of respect that they've engaged in this. I know that can happen a lot of the time when boxers fight each other, even though these two obviously aren't professional boxers. But it's almost like they realised that as friends, they could definitely benefit off each other a lot more than being enemies now. Like the whole enemy thing has kind of ran dry. They've had the boxing matches. So how can we kind of move forward from this and still be successful together? And that's exactly what they decided to do by launching their first business together. This would occur in January 2022 when Logan Paul would go live on Instagram and duet it with KSI, and they would announce Prime.
Man, I love you, and I don't want to fight you anymore.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, man. I don't feel like doing that again.
Okay, then. Why don't we, instead of, you know, messing the people about, why don't you come round? Come through, bro. Come through.
Right now?
Yeah, right now, man.
Could you imagine, like, the marketing meeting behind this? Like, them just themselves laughing at what they're about to do and make billions of dollars in the process. Wish I could have been a fly in that room just to see, like, the smiles on their faces.
And we've been divided, but it's done.
Yes.
The division is over. It's 2022. It's a year. It's a year of love.
Year of love.
It's a year of love, fam. And we're coming together
Yes.
to announce possibly the biggest thing, the biggest business we'll ever build.
We have created our own drink company. Yes.
Ladies and
gentlemen.
And the world was changed forever. It is kind of weird, the effect of these two just creating this drink and everything that came after it, which we're going to witness. Don't worry about that. But as you can see, they've obviously got the mock-up of the designs. At this point, the brand obviously was just getting, you know, announced. It wasn't released to anybody. But I remember when this was announced thinking this is going to go absolutely mental, because obviously there's like a story behind it. These aren't just two influencers who have kind of just, you know, met each other. You know, they've had beef and there's a storyline and people have been invested in it, and now people can continue to invest in this journey and their pockets simultaneously. Now, as you can see from the bottles they were holding there, Prime was initially marketed as just a hydration drink, I believe. They didn't actually have the energy branch of it on launch. So basically they marketed it as having loads of electrolytes, zero sugar, which they used in comparison to the competition to kind of one-up them. A lot of their flavours were bold and the branding was even bolder. I will give it to Prime. Like, at the time when these bottles came out, they definitely stood out. Obviously now there seems like there's a lot more products like that which we're going to see, but it definitely stood out. You have to give it to them. Just having like block colours, like, it looks more appealing than what Lucozade does, especially to young children, which is the main audience for this. You have to remember that. Like, if you're an adult watching this and you go, oh, the branding's not that good, it's because you're probably not the, you know, the target audience. And instantly after they did their first release to the public, it would sell out instantly. Now, there was various tactics which led to Prime having such a successful launch, arguably the most successful creator-led brand launch ever. I think the biggest reason was definitely the perceived scarcity of the product. They marketed it as if it was like a Supreme drop or like a big clothing brand drop that, you know, if you don't get it now, you're never going to get it, which means if you do manage to get a bottle of this, you kind of feel special. I'm not saying that you would or that I would, but if you're a kid, you're like, oh my god, I've got a Prime bottle, like my friends don't, this makes me better. It's just the weird kind of way some kids think. Everybody likes having something that's rare, basically. Now, I definitely don't believe Prime was as rare as they were making it out to be. I think they were just kind of withholding stock and only releasing in batches to make it look like, you know, you had to get it as soon as it was released, which is obviously a very clever tactic and is adopted by so many brands all over the world. Now, the other huge advantage, it goes without saying, that Prime had is how it's a creator-led business. Obviously, Logan Paul and KSI have two huge ready-made audiences. So if you are launching like an electrolyte drink, but you don't have a platform, it's insanely really hard for you to compete with these two because you don't have an audience. You might just be, you know, a founder who doesn't really use social media. How are you meant to compete with this organic viewer base that is ready to buy this product? It's impossible. So they automatically like just skipped loads of levels in the whole process. And also the amount of posting they were doing around Prime on its launch was crazy. Like, I was seeing this everywhere. Logan Paul and KSI were just promoting it every opportunity they could get. They were sending it out to creators. No matter where you went, all you really saw was Prime if you were like in the online space around this time. And this intense marketing led to people trying to buy this product by any means necessary. Like, the chaos that Prime caused in supermarkets needs to be studied. So this is Aldi in Liverpool, just everyone getting Prime. Even the Daz, man. Now, hilariously, as you can see, I think in Aldi they limited it to maximum of 3 because obviously, as you're going to see later in this video, people started reselling these bottles and making like thousands of pounds. So they limited it to 3 per item, so obviously you could only really get some for yourself. I just find it hilarious how some dads are there without their children. I can imagine as a parent, the launch of Prime would have been your living hell. Because obviously if your kids are like, oh, can I really get like, you know, this bottle of Prime, it would make us really happy. You're going to want to make your kid happy. So you're going to have to go to places like Aldi on launch day, stand in a massive queue just to make sure your child has what they want.
They're over here.
Oh, it's like hunting.
You can only get one of each flavour per person. Please don't put it in a bag, hold it in your arm. Oh my! Be gentle with each other, please!
Calm down, love.
Be gentle with each other, please.
Trolls in the dungeon! Calm down, love, right? There's no fist fights here. But you can see, like, the passion from these kids trying to get these Prime bottles is kind of wild. The people who I really do feel sorry for is, you know, like, the people, like the woman there at the start who's working in Aldi, who is like, right, just everyone chill out. I'm just gonna do this, and then I'm gonna leave. It must have been super stressful for them. I think did she actually take some bottles for herself?
Don't put it in a bag, hold it in your arm.
I love that she took some bottles for herself as well. Anybody's mom or dad that works in a supermarket or a place where Prime was stocked initially, did you get bottles because your parents worked there? Let me know. Or if you worked there, did you get bottles? Because she's clearly just nicked some there. Look at this, man. It's like flies around.
You're only allowed one of each flavour, and that's 3 maximum.
Why is this person filming them and then just like giving out instructions? I have no idea. People are even wearing football kits, making sure they're so aerodynamic so they can turn corners quicker, I guess. As you can see here, this is the queue outside of Aldi, so you get an attempt to go in. Oh my God, man, how it's crazy that people were doing this. I just love the look on the parents' faces. They're like, I just really just don't want to be here right now. But KSI and Logan Paul had somehow managed to create this kind of wanting people to, you know, they like doing any means necessary to get their hands on a bottle of this stuff, willing to wait in queues for like half an hour just so they can get one bottle. It's crazy looking back at it. This is just dads and mums. Look at this guy, man. This is just so hilarious. I do actually feel sorry for the parents that they have had to go through this, you know, because obviously their kids are so invested in it.
You're only allowed one bottle of each, by the way. Who took them out of your hand?
Bro, did you see him? Grandad over here just wrestled them out of a child's hand. It's like, give them here, you little I've watched more KSI than you.
I didn't give you that. I gave you one of each flavour.
I'm so glad that I never did that. I mean, I wouldn't do it anyway, but my lord. But obviously, like, everybody in those videos is people, right? I know that's obvious to say, but they have their own brains, they have their own thoughts and feelings. They decided to do this. So clearly, you know, they really felt like they needed it or they wanted it. I remember my little brother, whenever he would get a bottle of Prime, he would hang it on his shelf. Like, so he had every flavour eventually, and it was almost like he had them on display like they were football trophies or something. Like, kids were so proud at one point to have a bottle of this stuff. Now, obviously, at this point, Prime would have made a hell of a lot of money from the launch revenue, so they were able to just reinvest this back into the company and take the marketing to the next level. I remember this one marketing scheme where KSI appeared in the WWE with Logan Paul dressed as like a Prime bottle, which, by the way, would have cost them a hell of a lot of money. Like, look at this. Look how many people's in this stadium. just got absolute frog splashed in a Prime suit. Do you know the promotion that would have got the company? Now, all of this led to Prime making 250 million in its first year in 2022, which is basically, obviously, $250 million. And in terms of valuation, you know, they could be projected over £1 billion in their first year, which is absolutely mental. Like, that is crazy for a company. However, it wasn't just KSI and Logan Paul that were making loads of money off Prime. People discovered how rare these bottles were, and if they could get their hands on them, they could sell them for more than what they're worth and obviously make a profit in between. And that's exactly what happened. People were making full-on businesses just reselling Prime, and this would eventually lead to KSI responding to it. We'll take a look at that later.
How much I made selling Prime at school for a day. I took 16 bottles to school and sold every single one. I sold 2 tropical Primes, 3 lemon limes, 5 blue raspberries, 4 orange, and 2 ice pops. It cost $72 to buy each drink and sold at $10 each. We profited $88 and still have 19 drinks remaining. Once all those sell out, we will have a total profit of $192.50.
Bro, we've got kids at school being little, like, Lord Sugars here. It's crazy. Exploiting that classmate. Like, we used to do this in school with, like, Sour Pops or, like, Freddos. Or, like, if we're really pushing it, like, 49p isotonic. But imagine charging your mate, like, a tenner for a drink. Bloody hell. How you even got the money when you're in school? We used to have to, like, nick flapjacks and stuff from the canteen just to eat. People out here bringing a tenner to school every day. Yeah, what? That would make you, like, a millionaire by school.
The brand new Prime is making us hundreds of pounds of profit selling it on eBay. Every month or two, Prime comes out with a brand new flavour of drink, and each time this happens, we always go into stores like Asda and Tesco and buy these products to sell on eBay for a profit. We make around £5 for each one of these that we buy and sell, and if you want to find out other items that you can get involved with, like Prime, like PlayStations that you can make profit off, click the link in our bio, download our app.
There's always, like, business gurus that jump on the new thing, isn't there? And then you, like, talk about it as if, like, it's like a genius thing. I do understand that, you know, you see, like, a gap in the market for you to make money, but I think I would feel harsh doing it because, you know, the parents are already getting ripped off by the fact they can't get this Prime, and when they get it, you know, it is like £3 a bottle at this point. And now they're kind of getting ripped off even more because somebody is taking that opportunity away from them and then charging them, like, I don't know, £15 or £20 per bottle. But all of this, again, was just adding to the scarcity of it and was just driving this narrative that you can only buy Prime if you buy it from a reseller, which is crazy. This is not a pair of trainers that go up in value or whatever. This is a drink that you drink, and once you drink it, it's gone. Some of these, like, business guru people were actually teaching other people how to create, like, a Prime business.
When you call up your local Asda, it gives you like a menu where you have to dial a code into the keypad. Yeah. Type in 201 or 293, it'll take you to either customer services or the store manager, and then they can actually tell you if you've got Prime in stock currently or when the next delivery date is. As soon as delivery comes in, you're there on the dot taking everything.
What? No, you're joking. What? Oh, what? That's been that, like, oh, what? So I can ring up and be like, yeah, right, Asda? Yeah, you got the Prime in. Don't worry, I'll be first in the queue, love. Right, see you later. Bye-bye. That's mental. Again, it's wild that, you know, you can go to podcast and just kind of be like, yeah, this is, like, the interesting thing about me, that I ring up Asda and check if they've got Prime. I get that, you know, it's just like young people making money. I'm not trying to hate on it. I'm just trying to discuss how even, you know, the people not even involved in the production of Prime are still trying to take advantage of the people trying to buy it. Can you imagine finding out that's what your fella does for a living? You know, you, like, start speaking to this lad, you're like, oh, he's fit as out him, like, he's mint. You're like, I want to get with him, like, you become a pair. And just like, oh, by the way, what do you do for a job? Like, you've got, like, this lush car and everything. Or basically, like, listen, okay. I ring Asda before they open. I check if they've got Prime. Now, honestly, the people that we've just seen there are light in comparison to the most famous reseller of Prime. The person that basically made a career off this, Wakey Wines. Now, if you don't know who Wakey Wines is, he owns a shop in Wakefield, which I do think is called Wakey Wines. And it's like a convenience store, you know, like a Londis or, you know, like a Best One. And he somehow would manage to get his hands on Prime. Now, he wouldn't sell this for, like, you know, £1 or like £5 more than what they were worth. The prices Wakey Wines was charging for the bottles of Prime were ridiculous.
Yes, everybody. It's Saturday morning. We've got the Prime cans in. Check them out, Abdul. What do you think, Abdul? They're nice, yeah. We're the only shop in England to have these cans in. So come and get your cans.
Bro, how is he getting them? The only shop in England, what, they shop in Wakefield? You're joking me. You're pulling my pork, fella. How? Like, who have you got at gunpoint? Who's nudes at the Prime production factory have you got? Makes no sense, man.
£100 a can. Come on, show them, Abdul, what flavours we've got, pal. Come and get your WFD sweets as well.
Bro, £100 a can. Like what? Are they like, I don't know, a quid, 2 quid, 3 quid? I don't know how much they were at the time because Prime's prices have changed, which we're going to later get into. But £100 nevertheless is crazy, bud. £100 for a drink, which by the way, you could probably finish in like 5 minutes, then the £100's gone. I know you could say the same thing if you go to a restaurant and eat food, but at least you're getting a whole experience there. It's a memory, you know, you're like, oh, remember when we went to that restaurant, that was like beautiful, you know, whatever, like a posh one. But a drink? Why?
Show them all the flavours, what we've got down there.
How has he got so many?
I'll show them the Prime bottle.
Back then, it was actually better to invest in Prime than it was the stock market. Trading 212 should have had a Prime feature on there.
Hi, Grandma, you alright?
Yes.
Where have you come from, love?
Manchester Withenshaw.
And you bought our first can for £100. Come closer, Abdul. This lovely grandma from Manchester has bought the...
He's making her hold the receipt as well, man. This is some sort of humiliation ritual. Come on, you cannot make her hold the receipt. Look how much I've just extorted this granny for a can of pop for. Haha, what a knob. Get her to hold the receipt as well, rub it in.
Strawberry, watermelon can. And there's the receipt, £100.
Hilarious. Well, he's wearing some like 700 quid Balenciaga trainers. That's a new pair of trainers from Flannels for me, love. Thank you very much. Also, everyone's breaking the rules here. Please stand at least 2 meters apart. Just saying, take them primes off the rule breakers.
You're a good woman. And what are you for, Bob?
Some bottled Prime.
You bought 4 bottles of Prime and it's your birthday today, innit?
Well, it is.
Is it your birthday?
Max's birthday.
Yeah.
Max, happy birthday, pal. What's the best shopping, Wakey?
Wakey Wines!
Abdul, come closer.
Abdul, go back!
So realistically, like, I don't know if all of the primes are the same price. Let's just say they are for argument's sake. That family have paid £500, or the granny's paid £500 for all of those primes. £500. Are we okay? How have you got the money? 500 quid. Bro, if I'd pay like 500 quid for my family to have a drink of pop each, I'd be like, you better save that all year. You're just taking 1 sip a day. It's like an advent calendar. You don't eat the whole thing at once, you bloody savouring it, you are. 500 quid, my arse.
You alright?
I'm alright, thank you.
Where have you come from, gorgeous?
Aqua.
This lovely lady has come all the way from Aquath. She bought the famous bottle for £1,000. She just paid on her card. Thank you very much, love.
Thank you.
So keep this and do not use it, but it's a lot of money. What's the best shopping, Wakey?
Wakey Wines!
Abdul, come closer.
Abdul, go back!
Bingo, bingo.
Gala bingo!
Now this has just got to be advertising. There's not a single chance that this woman has paid £1,000 for that. Hopefully not, right? I'm not trying to say that she hasn't got the money on her thing, I bet she does. But surely, out of hope, I'm hoping that wasn't £1,000. Because I would be crying if this was me. Like, I would have to be extorted into doing this. Like, I couldn't do this by my own choice. You know when you see someone, I don't know, with like an Audi or like a Porsche or whatever in the street, you're like, oh, they must have a bit of cheddar, right? I used to look at people drinking Prime and go, now they've got it figured out, right? Those are the people that are really making the money. I wonder if anybody actually paid for a bottle of Prime on finance. Surely somebody did it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but imagine going into, you know, like £100 of debt just for a bottle of Prime. But you need to sort your life choices out, man. You'll end up in one of Caleb Hammer's videos, and then you'll end up on this channel, me reacting to one of those videos. Now, this was one of the first occasions where KSI actually responded to some drama surrounding Prime, because this was making headline news, and parents were getting increasingly annoyed at how hard it was to pay for Prime because of how expensive it was getting off the resellers.
I think it's ridiculous that people are reselling Prime at such high amounts and high values. It shouldn't be worth £100 for a can of Prime, or 10, 15, 20 pounds for a bottle of Prime hydration. It's absolutely ridiculous and I hate it.
Now, I do understand this point, and it is a valid point, but at the end of the day, this is kind of what happened. Like, Logan Paul and KSI would have knew this would have happened. Like, whenever a brand operates on scarcity, like I mentioned before, Supreme, a brand like Supreme drops every Thursday and they do limited runs, which means that people buy them and then resell them. It's the same thing. This happens in so many industries, so obviously they would know that this would happen. They're obviously going to condemn it because, you know, it obviously makes them look good, and I probably think they do disagree with it to an extent, but they would know that this was going to happen. This is a result of their marketing plan.
To the owner of Wakey Wines, I mean, what you're doing is just unfair, and it's not ethical, it's not nice. You know, you're able to get Prime, I don't know how, you either have a dealer or something, but it's not nice what you're doing to these kids.
That's hilarious. Imagine if like dealers were actually putting Prime on their little menu. You know, you ring them up, you're like, you alright, mate? Can I just get, you know, like 2 bottles of Prime, please? What? Just two bottles of Prime. Is that right? Yeah, cash only, that's fine. No worries, right, cheers. See you in 20. That's what Breaking Bad should have been about. Just them trying to recreate the secret recipe for Prime. Would have hit so much harder. Now, just a side note, KSI and Wakey Wines ended up actually meeting each other. And I think KSI signed like a golden bottle of Prime. And he told Wakey Wines, like, don't sell this. And what did Wakey Wines do?
The bottle is on for £250,000.
And you know, there will be someone out there, some multi-millionaire that wants to buy that for their children so they look cool and money is just no object to them. Someone would have bought that for that price. Now at this point in time in 2023, I would say Prime was basically at its peak. I feel like this is where the most people were talking about it, the most revenue was coming in. And one thing I will give Prime credit for is they definitely seemed to always reinvest in the product. They weren't just taking the money for themselves. Like, they would use this revenue to partner with some of the biggest brands online or even in mainstream media as well. I remember they partnered with the UFC, which was pretty crazy. As you can see here, KSI mustn't have been able to get there as they used a cardboard cutout. Imagine going to meet Dana White at the UFC and you're like, nah, I'm actually too busy for that. And you know you've made it. And this definitely gave them some legitimacy because their drink was now associated with like athletes, like people who were at the top of their prime. And they also went into football as well. I think their first football sponsorship was with Arsenal, who I believe KSI supports.
When this comes out, it's going to blow everyone's mind.
Is it really?
Yes.
He doesn't realize.
This is massive.
No way.
Yeah.
Now this actually is massive. I definitely think this is probably, this might even be their pinnacle of, you know, what they managed to achieve, because it's that legitimacy. Having Arsenal, who are like now top of the Premier League, obviously at that time I don't believe they were, but they've always been a huge team, endorse your drink, and you know, when their players are on the pitch, they have the Prime bottle. It makes little kids go, oh, like my favourite footballer drinks that, surely I can drink that. Like, that's how I used to think when I was a child. I used to see Anthony Joshua drink a Lucasade and think, if I drink Lucasade, I'm gonna look like Anthony Joshua. Stupidly as a kid, you think that. Or at least I did. I think I was one of the, you know, maybe he's one of the ones that you just like colour in. And I think Arsenal trusting Prime led to them getting loads of other big football clubs on board as well. At this moment in time, I believe they have Juventus, Bayern Munich, Benfica, Borussia Dortmund, Barcelona. You know, like, basically the biggest teams in every country. I would love to know what the partnership deals look like there, because obviously they will have to pay like millions of pounds to be there, but I just want to see kind of the ins and outs of them, because I find it really intriguing. Obviously we'll never know. But after getting football clubs on board, they then went for like specific athletes. I remember Terence Crawford, arguably the best boxer ever, wearing like a Prime chain around his neck when after he'd won a fight, which again just adds to the validity of the product, because these people are endorsing this product. I remember they also had Adesanya and Volkanovski, who at the time were like, you know, some of the biggest stars in the UFC. They also managed to get Erling Haaland to do like some videos for Prime, which by the way, he is like my favourite footballer. I love this guy. So little kids seeing Haaland drink Prime and do videos for Prime, they're obviously going to feel like they need to buy the product also. And at this point, I definitely think more Logan Paul over KSI was getting cocky about the product. Logan would often brag about how much of a genius like his marketing techniques were around the product.
Here's another masterclass in marketing. So KSI and I did a photo shoot for Strawberry Watermelon Prime, and we got this image. Pretty standard, but someone photoshopped it to make it look suggestive. Then Ty's tweeted it, said, who directed the ad campaigns for Prime, bro? The meme went viral. 38 million views and 320,000 favorites of free promotion, which is awesome and we can't take credit for. But how can we amplify this even more? What if KSI just responds and says it's fake? Boom! 10 million! Or just highlight the fact that we got 30 million views for free. Boom! Another 21 million. Let's take it even further. Let's use the photo in a real life ad campaign. Tweet it. Boom! 6.6 million.
Now, I'm not trying to put this down because it is very clever, but I definitely don't think it's genius what they did. Like, somebody made a funny meme of the product, it did well, then they basically just kind of ran with it and, you know, tweeted, like quote tweeted it. I don't know, it's not like genius, is it? It's just like, yeah, that just makes sense, do that. And also something I do think Logan forgets is, you know, if two people who didn't have an online presence like this happened to, it wouldn't have went as far as what it did. It's because obviously it's KSI and Logan, which gives it such a huge platform. If it was two randoms off the street, nobody really cares. However, they definitely deserve the credit for how they managed to keep the hype going into 2023. And it's reported that they actually hit 1.2 billion in sales in 2023, which again is just absolutely mental. I think the overall valuation is going to, you know, be close to 10 billion at this point. It is ridiculous. However, despite the huge success, like revenue revenue-wise. Cracks were starting to show within the business or within the media kind of portrayal of the business. One of the first kind of blows that Prime was dealt were schools were banning Prime from their premises, like entirely. The BBC reported not just like all energy drinks, but specifically Prime, KSI and Logan Paul's hydration and energy drinks are being banned in schools. Prime bottles can be a major distraction to lessons as children are removing themselves from their lessons to be seen drinking with the Prime branded bottles. It's like a cult, genuinely. I told you, like, this is how little kids kind of think sometimes. If they have something that is rare that somebody else can't get, they think they're mid. Having a bottle has become something of a cult among children. We would prefer that such items are not brought into school. Now, obviously, this is a little bit of a blow because, you know, parents are going to read this and go, oh, well, I'm not going to, you know, buy that product if my child can't drink it at school. I'll buy, like, a competitor for it. But in a way, this kind of also worked in Prime's favour because it kind of made their product forbidden. And if there's another thing that, you know, you do like when you're younger, it's doing things that you're not really meant to do. You know, just kind of being a menace. So this kind of made kids want it even more, weirdly. But this article definitely started an onslaught from the media, like, attacking the Prime product. There was so many articles released about, like, a caffeine warning, I believe specifically with the energy part of Prime. Concerns have been raised that Prime energy drinks don't display caffeine warnings clearly enough to show they are unsuitable for children. Now, just that tagline alone is enough for, like, parents to have alarm bells. Like, you see something that says unsuitable for children, that's just going to stay in your mind, and when you see it on the shelf, you're probably just not going to buy it. It's that subconscious feeling. And I remember this being all over, like, you know, Prime getting so much kind of flack for its reported caffeine. I know Logan Paul actually did respond to this and say that this was all just bullshit, but this didn't stop parents kind of saying they were sick of buying this product. A woman called Mary McCarthy wrote an article for The Independent where she basically discussed how her and other parents were just getting fed up with the whole saga around Prime and how hard it was to get it, and that they were just kind of giving up. This article was definitely trying to portray, like, KSI and Logan specifically in a negative light, and then obviously that leads into their product, trying to shine that, you know, they aren't the people that their kids should be following. That's obviously Mary's opinion, like, this is what she's trying to kind of portray here. But what I'm trying to get at here is people were really coming at all angles for this product. People were really just sick of it, and they were now starting to look at Prime with a different lens and actually be critical of it rather than just, you know, trying to get it by any means necessary. Now, moving into 2024, this was arguably the fall section of Prime, and I definitely feel like this is where Prime kind of, I don't know if you could say it went downhill, but it wasn't as big as what it once was in 2022 and 2023. This was also backed up by the reported earnings of Prime. I've got here that Prime Hydration's UK saw a significant slump, with turnover dropping about 70% from 112 million to around 33 million, whilst US sales also declined by roughly 40% in the first half of the year, as obviously the hype had faded. Now, obviously this was always going to happen. There's only a little amount of time that you can really rely on hype for to carry your product, because eventually, you know, you just have to rely on the product being good and rely on people repeat purchasing the product. You can't just keep creating hype, because eventually everybody's already going to have heard of the product, tried the product, and then they've got an opinion on the product. And this led allegedly to profits reportedly collapsing over 91%. Now, obviously we've seen in this video how stock was very, very scarce and nobody was really stocking this. Whereas now it almost seemed like stores had an overstock of Prime. Like, you can see there, it's now $1.88, which is almost half price.
Bro, look, even over here no one's buying it. Like, they're filled to the brim. Same thing with the sticks. Bro, no, this is actually bad.
Now, and I did find this interesting because this was also happening in the UK as well. Like, there was, like, Prime was a lot more accessible, and I didn't know if it was because people weren't buying it anymore, or if they were changing their strategy and now they're moving into a kind of, you know, a proper kind of business model where it's always available and people can put it into their routines, like they do with Lucozade. You know, if you like a Lucozade bottle, you just get it because you know it's there, and I think Prime were kind of moving into that. I don't know, it's one or the other, or maybe it's a mixture of both. But obviously this kind of reflected bad on the brand in general, because it looked like nobody wanted it anymore. And I also think it is very hard to transition as a brand from going from, like, a scarcity brand to, like, oh yeah, we're just here now, because I don't know, it just, the whole thing of the brand was that you couldn't get it, and then now you can get it. It's like, it's not as good anymore. It's like, I don't know, you know, you hear about some people when they're in the talking stages, they like the talking stages with someone because it's like a chase, and when, you know, you're actually, like, together, they're like, oh, this isn't as fun. I have never experienced that, but I know loads of people say that. It's the same with Prime. We had kind of, I don't know why I tried to kind of relate it to that. Strange. Let's move on. But it definitely begged questions such as, is Prime good enough to work without KSI and Logan Paul? Let's say if Logan Paul and KSI sold this today, would Prime still be around in 5 years? It's definitely an interesting question. Personally, I actually like a lot of the flavors. I don't like the energy drink, but I don't like any energy drink. But a couple of the hydration flavors, like, I would get it. However, I don't think I would actually buy it now. Like, if it was on a shelf, I wouldn't even think of buying it, but I do enjoy it. I don't know why. That's just my opinion on it. I would rather go for some of the competitors, and I feel like a lot of other people felt the same, especially now the overall kind of theme of Prime. A lot of people were kind of clowning on it. People weren't now wanting it. People were now kind of taking the out of it, and when your audience starts to do that, it makes it seem uncool, which is the very opposite of what Prime seemed like at the start. However, despite the decline in sales and also the profits falling, and also Prime seeming to have kind of like a brand strategy change, in the latter stage of 2024, KSI seemed to still be very happy with how Prime was performing. I saw this clip of him in a video where he was basically reacting to a prediction he made about how Prime was going to do by this time, and he seemed more than happy with his prediction.
How much do you think Prime, just as a guess, how much do you think it'll be worth in a year's time?
So, I'd say over $1 billion, which is pretty nuts for a drink company. Only appeared for about 2 years. Well, it would have been 3 at the time, next year. Yeah, Prime has done very well. Wow, 1 billion! But then I was there like, yo, hopefully he can reach something, I think.
So you've hit $1 billion?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we've covered in this video, they definitely are worth, you know, more than treble $1 billion. I don't know about right now, but at the latter stage of 2024, 100%. And even if, you know, the product does kind of fall off and, you know, it doesn't go anywhere from now, you know, Logan Paul and KSI have made a hell of a lot of money off this. So I doubt they'd be disappointed if it did fall off. Voice break, come on then. Now, another kind of hilarious thing that happened in the latter stage of 2024 was Lionel Messi, arguably the best footballer that ever existed, created his own drinks brand, and it was so weirdly similar to Prime. I think he called it Mass Plus. As you can see by the bottles, it is basically just like Prime themed, you know? And weirdly, Messi, I believe, actually sued Logan Paul and KSI for Prime. I don't understand why, but then Logan Paul and KSI actually counter-sued Messi, saying that, you know, he'd kind of nicked the brand, etc. Very strange. I don't know if Messi and his team did that for a little bit of awareness, like they need it, but also this was a sign that other brands were coming in and kind of replicating Prime, and now Prime also has to compete with brands that are trying to be like them, which makes everything harder and definitely saturates the market even further. Now, moving on to 2025 and near to present day, Prime has also been dealt another major blow as the UK has introduced this new law. Energy drinks crackdown sees Prime and Monster banned for under 16s. Around 100,000 children are thought to consume at least one high caffeine energy drink every day. And yeah, basically Prime will fall under this ban, which is set to make it illegal to sell energy drinks containing more than 150 milligrams of caffeine per litre to anyone under 16. So basically, I don't know if this has happened to you, but I've like went into like Heron Foods and tried to get a Red Bull. I've been ID'd and I can't get it. Not now, but like when I was younger. So Prime is going to fall under that. Now, obviously the primary audience for Prime is under 16. So this really is going to be kind of a hard one to navigate, and it's really going to open up the door for other competitors to kind of, you know, take that audience. And I definitely think they need to do something to work around this. Another thing that I feel like is going to hurt Prime in 2025 and 2026 is definitely kind of Logan's image in general. I know Logan has been through a lot more controversy since the start of when Prime launched. I know a lot of people have kind of lost trust in him. However, in 2026 to this day, Prime does seem to still be kind of functioning, but just not at the level that it once was. It has definitely fell from that level. It's no longer like a phenomenon. Like, you don't really hear much about it. It almost just kind of coexists in the world of its competitors, such as Powerade, Lucozade, Gatorade. And I definitely think they're trying to, you know, get in people's habits and get in people's daily routines, rather than creating a massive marketing campaign and, you know, a shock value again. Now, I did Google and I did see that reportedly KSI and Logan Paul haven't sold their shares in Prime. They still own around 20% of the company. So they're definitely still invested in the journey in Prime, and they obviously see, you know, more success along the way. But it'll be interesting to see what you think about this, and if you think that Prime will still be a huge brand in 5 years' time, even a year's time. I'm very intrigued by this. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Took a lot of research to put this together, and I've really enjoyed it as well. Now, if you want to watch another video from me that is in the exact same style as this, click this video where we take a look at YouTuber products that failed drastically, and we actually look at another product that KSI and Logan Paul launched together that didn't share the same success as Prime. I'll see you over there. Bye-bye.
Cam Kirkham, baby.